It's time for Waking Up with Wesley. Today's forecast and weather-wide discussion with WLOX First Alert Weather's senior meteorologist, Wesley Williams.
Hello there, South Mississippi, and thank you for waking up with Wesley. I'm Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams. So this is a look at this morning. We are waking up to frost. Now, a little bit earlier this morning, about a couple of hours ago, I stepped outside in the parking lot and took this picture of one of our news cars. You can easily see that layer of thin ice on the windshield there. Took another more zoomed in picture, and you can really just see those ice crystals right there on the windshield. And our TV station sits like a block or so away from the beach. So right here in Biloxi on the Bees Road, it is not that far from the beach, and we had plenty of frost, not just here, but basically everywhere in South Mississippi. Temperatures are still stuck in the freezer in some places during the 8 o'clock hour. We find 31 to the west of Poplarville, and I also see 32 reported at Stennis. Most of the rest of the numbers, though, are above freezing, and that's where we're expecting to continue to climb. So that freezing temperature is starting to thaw out. It is starting to wear off, and I don't think we're going to see another round of freezing temperatures until Friday morning. In order to get to that, we have to get through a cold front that comes in tomorrow night. But before we get to the cold front tomorrow night, we might have to get through some rain chances, possibly heading into parts of tonight and tomorrow. So I just kind of walked you backwards through the forecast. Now let's get there. So what we see on this temperature map is a bunch of cooler air situated across the deep south. That's where we find the coldest numbers on this map. 30s in Mississippi and Alabama. Those are some of the coldest numbers you see there, middle and lower 30s. Well, some of the warmest numbers that we find are, of course, in Florida, but more importantly, they're also over portions of Texas. And I want to talk about that because that's where our weather is about to come from. So what we have are those two differing areas of temperature, and in the middle of them, there's this area of high pressure that's creating clockwise wind circulation. So it's actually helping to pull down these cooler temperatures across our part of the Gulf Coast, but it's also helping to push up milder temperatures into portions of Texas. And where it's pushing those milder temperatures up over Texas, it's also kicking up some clouds and even some rain showers. And you're going to see that Gulf moisture as we switch it over to the weather map. And you can see again for us, our weather pattern for now, chilly with dry high pressure nearby. And that dry high pressure is trying its best to keep our rain chances slim to none today. But if you take a look at the satellite and first alert radar in motion, you can see these showers kind of rolling on up across parts of the Texas and eventually Louisiana coast. And if you look really closely, we can even see, look at these little showers sneaking closer to the Louisiana coast. They appear to be on a path mostly toward the east. So hopefully that means that we won't have to worry about those here along the Mississippi coast. They're mostly moving toward the east, I would say about that way. So not really coming up toward our coast, but instead kind of sliding mostly eastward. But I do wonder if maybe some of the rest of this stuff a little bit farther back toward the west, maybe the stuff that's moving toward Houston, might have to keep an eye on some more of that moisture as eventually it might make its way a little bit closer to Louisiana and Mississippi as we go deeper into the weather later tonight and to tomorrow. So here's a look at the next 6 hours as you wake up and start your day. If you were waking up earlier, you needed to defrost your car's windshield. But at this point, we've got enough sunlight and the temperatures are beginning to climb above freezing that if you just wait an hour, your car, if it's parked outside, you won't have to worry about frost on the windshield because it will just naturally thaw out. Unless it's like parked in the shade of a tree or something, then the frost might hold for another hour. But I would imagine by 9 this morning, there's no frost unless it's a car parked underneath a shady tree. And then by the time we get to 10 or 11 o'clock, even the cars that are parked underneath a shady tree, the frost there will thaw as well. We're looking at temperatures this afternoon getting closer to 60. So look at 2 p.m. Wiggins 61, 2 p.m. Ocean Springs 59. So that's close to 60. And yesterday's high was 55. So today might not be quite as chilly of an afternoon as yesterday. You'll notice that the rain chances are basically at 0% for this morning, but they do start to creep up a little bit, 10% by 2 p.m. Let's take a look at some of those p.m. rain chances. So you can see that 10% by 2 or 3 p.m. And then we go deeper into the evening, still seeing a 10% by 6 p.m. This is sunset, by the way, the sunset during the 5 o'clock hour. So it's no longer today. It's now tonight. And you really didn't see much green on this blend of computer models. So there's really not much of a daytime rain chance today. I think the air is still going to be a little bit too dry. Even if there are some rain clouds up higher in the sky, the raindrops, as they're falling through all of the dry air beneath the cloud, the raindrops might literally evaporate before reaching the ground because the air is just that dry across our area with high pressure nearby. Now, as we go through this a little bit more slowly, you can see by 9 o'clock, we are starting to see a little bit of green showing up, indicating computer modeling showing some potential for light rain in parts of the area around 8, 9, and 10 p.m. So we do see that 20 to 30% chance for some pop-up showers. This continues around 11 tonight, midnight, and 1 o'clock tomorrow morning. And you can see about a 30 to 40% chance for rain around 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning on Wednesday. So don't be caught off guard if there's a few hit or miss showers. Most of us will be in bed asleep, although if you're an early riser like me, this is pretty much when you'll be going into work tomorrow morning. And yeah, the roads might be wet if there's a few hit or miss showers here and there early on Wednesday. Now, when most people wake up closer to 5, 6, and 7 in the morning, will the roads be wet for tomorrow morning's, drive, the main commute and such? And it does look like we're going to see kind of a decrease in the rain around that 5, 6, 7 time frame. So, and then again, by 8, 9, and 10 tomorrow morning, the decrease continues. I'd love to drop the chances all the way down to 0 once we get to tomorrow afternoon, but we're still waiting on a cold front to arrive. I don't think the front will have arrived tomorrow morning. So we go to tomorrow afternoon, and we can see green showing up on this. The computer models are showing maybe there's just one final little shower chance as a front finally moves in from the north on Wednesday p.m. So that's what this is showing. Again, the models are not very consistent on this, so I'm not really sure about bringing the rain chance much higher, but I know I don't want to put it at 0% for Wednesday p.m. with this type of information showing up. We could still see a few spotty showers as the front arrives tomorrow p.m. Now, by the time we get to tomorrow night, the front has moved through and the air will turn significantly drier. It will also turn cooler and a bit on the breezier side as well. How much rain are we talking about with this? Well, as you can see, there is no part of this map in Mississippi that is blue or purple or red or orange or yellow. So we're not talking about any heavy rain amounts. We're all looking at green colors here. And so if we zoom in to the southern portion of our state, we can see, again, this is basically the lowest color on the scale. So rain amounts only up to a 1/10 of an inch, 100th of an inch to a 1/10 of an inch. It's really not going to be that much rain as far as measuring it with the rain gauge on our map here for anything that we see, if we see anything at all tonight into tomorrow. So not a whole lot of rain to get your hopes up about, but it is enough that we do want to mention it in case you're surprised when you start your day on Wednesday and the pavement is wet and you're like, what's going on with this? And now you shouldn't be surprised because you've been watching the forecast, but your neighbors or maybe your friend who doesn't pay enough attention to the weather, you can help to fill them in and say, well, I watched the weather. I know why it's wet. We had some showers that were expected overnight, and that's what happened. So again, earlier we walked backwards through those rain chances, through the temperature drop, but we walked forward through it here. And, this morning we had a freeze. This afternoon, we're going close to 60. And we'll see an increase in clouds, but I think it's too dry for much rain, so the chance today 10%. The sun will set before 6 p.m. So after 6 p.m., we call it tonight. And at that point, the rain chance will increase eventually to around 30 or 40% around or after midnight. So we could see some hit or miss showers overnight. And then tomorrow, Eventually it does turn drier once the front gets here, but the front doesn't really get here until tomorrow p.m. So we'll keep a 20% chance in just in case we see some last minute showers with tomorrow's front, but I don't think it's going to be very much. As you saw, the amounts are very light, if any at all. We'll be on the cloudier side tomorrow. We'll see if we can make it into the lower 60s, but if we don't get much sunshine, it could be hard to get into the lower 60s. In some cases, it might be stuck in the upper 50s on the thermometer. All right, then the cold front arrives Wednesday night. And here's what happens. We're going to cool off on Thursday. Now, because the winds are still going to be breezy, the temperature actually won't sharply drop on Thursday morning. So we're not expecting it to freeze on Thursday morning because we expect the winds to be up. Now, if it's not as windy as we expect, then yeah, that number is going to be too high and we're probably going to need to revise that. But right now we're expecting a breezy Thursday morning, so that will keep the temperature up. That friction in the air when it's windy, the air particles are moving, that keeps the temperature from dropping too rapidly. Now in the afternoon, we are going to see some sun, but the air is going to turn colder and colder as it comes in out of Canada, basically. So that's why we're only able to maybe hit a high of 50 on Thursday. It could be hard to get that high up on the thermometer. So here's a look at that on the map. There's today. Remember, in January, it's normal to have a high around 61. So we'll be pretty close to normal today. There's tomorrow. The cold front approaches. It doesn't quite make it here just yet during the day. So I think we might be able to make it to the lower 60s. Although if it's too cloudy, maybe not. But either way, we don't get any kind of significant temperature drop until we go from Wednesday to Thursday. And then we get that colder air coming right on down. And it will be very difficult, I think, for us to hit 50. In some cases, you might only be at 48, 49 for a high on Thursday as that cooler air washes across the area. So that's pretty much the biggest cold front that we're tracking in the 7-day forecast. Going to be that Wednesday p.m. cold front that brings us one cold Thursday as well as a freeze on Friday morning. Temperatures moderate Friday, Saturday. Technically, there could be another front over the weekend. I don't think that one's as strong, but it does provide somewhat of a drop from Saturday to Sunday. Like I said, the mornings, the next time we'll freeze after this morning might not be till Saturday. What stops us from freezing on Wednesday morning is too cloudy, and it's the day before a cold front gets here. What stops us from freezing on Thursday morning, it'll be close, but I think it's too windy, so the temperatures don't drop as rapidly. What stops us from freezing on Friday morning? Nothing. It's too cold, it's too clear, it's too calm. All of that will make it very easy for those numbers to fall into the freezer. And then on Saturday, we shouldn't really see freezing because things get a little bit milder, although it will still be kind of chilly. And that's pretty much it. As we take a look at that 7-day forecast, you can see that the trend here is for no more warmth, right? We started the month of January with a lot of 70s, but the 70s are gone. And in this stretch, right through the middle of the month, closing in on the end of the month, it looks like it's going to be right on the chilly side. You're looking at Monday of next week, which is MLK Day Monday, by the way, and looking at a high of 56 degrees after a possible morning freeze. 32 on the coast, could be even colder inland. And that 32 on the coast for Friday, by the way, as you just saw, was a 27 inland. If we take you back to that, you can see 32 on the coast for Friday morning, but 27 inland. So keep that in mind. You will need to, again, protect people, pets, and plants once we get closer to Friday morning. Well, that'll pretty much do it for today's edition of Waking Up with Wesley. I've been Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams. We'll see you again next time. Till then, take care.
Thank you for watching Waking Up with Wesley with WLOX First Alert Weather Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams.